Howdy, partner.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brickmaker channel. Today I am bringing you another one of my older videos that I decided to give a wee bit of a rework to. The reason being is that when I originally made it I was experimenting with doing a two-part kind of video. Not just main story then DLC, but mixing it all together and making a much longer challenge run. I've decided to cut it down and to put it into one singular video. But even with all those cutting, you're still all in for a very long video. So let's quickly ask the question. Can you beat Fallout New Vegas as Geralt of Rivia? I'll be honest with you guys, I am very excited to be redoing this video, redoing the audio, because this was one of my most favourite videos ever to record. This channel actually originally started as a Witcher channel, and the name The Brickmaker comes from a character from The Witcher 1. Now, as I make my character look as much as Geralt as possible in the New Vegas engine, let's discuss the signs. The Ignis sign allows Geralt to use fire, so I'll be using the Flamer. Illidan lets him set traps, so I'll be using different types of mines. Ard is a blowback feature, kind of knocking enemies back off of their feet. I decided to use the Ranger takedown that you can learn in Novak, and the two-step goodbye unarmed weapon. This is as close as I could get for Ard. The Axis sign was also very difficult to use. I decided to go for flashbangs because they confuse enemies, and the speech check because that's kind of like manipulating people's brains, especially with how strong New Vegas' speech checks are. When it comes to the Gwen sign, that's just Geralt using a shield to protect himself, so the only thing I could think of was medics. Now that brings us into what we can do in this playthrough. We'll only be able to use the aforementioned items for attacking and defending ourselves. And we'll also only be able to dress like Geralt, so leather armor will be the main focus. But for any of you out there that have ever played The Witcher or read any of the books or watched the show, you'll know that we need to get his primary weapon. So for now, our only quest is gathering Geralt's two swords. I buy some leather armor reinforced, which is, if you guys have played The Witcher 3, is spot on for his base armor. It looks exactly like it. And I take the Black Mountain shortcut where I meet the first Witcher enemy, fall damage. If any of you have played the early Witcher 3, you know exactly what I'm talking about. As I'm making my way through the Black Mountain shortcut, I do pick up some cat eye, which is something that will be very vital for the Geralt character. Witchers have cat-like eyes, which allow them to have hyper senses. Cat's eye lets us see in the dark, so it's pretty much, if there was any type of item in Fallout New Vegas that felt very witchery, it's the cat eyes. It's almost like it was made for them. After picking up a few snow globes, we finally arrive at the strip. When we arrive, we're able to find some medics inside the Lucky 38, so that gets our Gwen signed ready. Due to us climbing out of a grave at the start of this game, Mr. House wants to speak to us, and Geralt as a character would always hear people out. He has no reason to distrust Mr. House, plus his robot wife seems to want to give us a lot of money, so why are we going to say no to that? We take our newly acquired wealth and head straight over to Mick, because Mick usually is selling katanas. The katana will be our main sword. In fact, in The Witcher 3 you're able to get a katana-like sword with one of their DLCs as well, so this is a very fitting sword for Geralt to be able to use. Plus it's one of my most favourite weapons in the game. If you see my top 10 melee weapons video, you'll know just how much I like the katana. We decide to head straight over to the tops, and make our way to talk to Benny. Swank gives us the key to his room, allowing us to be a bit more sneaky and detectively. But Geralt at this point would just go speak to Benny. This person attacked us for, in terms of our understanding, no reason. All we know is he wanted a chip that we were just carrying. And Geralt is not particularly heavy on revenge. Although he has acted out revenge in the past, he would do a little bit more due diligence and investigate the room. It's here where we encounter Yes Man, and where we start piecing a little bit more of Benny's story together. He seems to have some huge plan for New Vegas. And there's one thing that Witchers do not get involved in, it is the politics and the warring factions amongst the area. So I decide to head to his room to hear him out. Geralt has worked with politicians before, but as a rule, Witchers don't pick sides. However, Benny himself has picked his own side. We gave him a chance and we were willing to hear him out, but he did not hear us out. Well, unfortunately, Geralt knows that he's got a long quest ahead of him now, so to take his mind off of it and to get himself mentally prepared, he goes to play a couple hands of Gwent. If you guys don't know, The Witcher 3 has a card game itself called Gwent, which I believe that New Vegas would offer. You know, it's a very famous game. I think they would offer people to play it and let people play it for a lot of gambling. Plus at this point, Geralt is losing a lot of his itinerary, and these 33,000 caps is what's going to allow us to buy back and gather all of the different equipment that we have had stolen from us. The first thing we buy is our two-step goodbye, so we can start using our Ard sign again. But unfortunately we cannot use it quite yet because we don't have the Ranger takedown, so we've just got it in our back pocket for now. We then head over to the Vangrouse to pick up another one of our signs. The Cleansing Flame will act as our Igni sign. Plus I've never actually used the Cleansing Flame for any sort of playthrough, so it was a nice chance to use a new weapon. With a couple weapons under our belt, we decide to head back to Goodsprings. If there is one thing that Geralt is that he helps the people that have helped him. And the people of Goodspring helped him get out of a ditch. So when the Powdergangers come along, I believe he would do anything in his power to help that town. We also start passing through Prim. The main reason is that a couple of our signs are also out here. But if Geralt did approach a town that was having problems with bandits like this, I believe he would also help. Normally witches only work for a reward, but Geralt's different. He does like just helping out for the sake of people and for the sake of giving them safer lives. So with all these convicts capturing people, I believe Geralt would take matters into his own hand and protect these people. After saving the deputy, Geralt would immediately recognise him as a bit of a coward and not fit to protect this town. There's only one valiant knight that is fit to save this place, and that is the dear man Prim Slim. With Prim Slave, Geralt takes his way right over to the canyon wreckage. We're not planning to tackle Lonesome Road yet, but there's a few things in here that we want to pick up. Entering the silo, we are looking for the ED robot, simply so he can open up the commissary and we can pick up some flashbangs. This is another one of our signs added to our arsenal. And with that, we've got a lot of our weapons already back. However, we're not quite done yet. I do, however, decide to test out a little bit of the firepower I've got so far, and the flashbangs are pretty good. What they can do is make the enemies just go into a frenzy, flee, drains all their different defenses and attack stuff as well. However, if you catch yourself in the flashbang, it can do the exact same to you. Instead of just testing it on poor coyotes, I decided to use it on this convict. I mean, it looks like he took it like a champ. And even though they went down pretty quick, those convicts, that might just be the katana being a very strong weapon. When encountering some Radscorbins, I decided to use Igni. The Cleansing Flame as a flamer is a very effective weapon. I had a lot of fun using it in this playthrough. I arrive at the Mojave outpost and immediately start talking to Major Knight. For any playthrough that you're not going to be anti-NCR, Major Knight is someone that you have to speak to as fast as possible. He will keep all of your weapons in tip-top condition. But there's also some contracts up here. In the Witcher universe, contracts can be put on notice boards or given by different NPCs. It is pretty much Geralt's job. As a Witcher, my job is to take contracts, especially ones that involve killing monsters, and bring their heads back to the people that have asked. A quest where I've been asked to wipe out a bunch of ants is exactly a Witcher type quest. And that's why in this game, any kind of quest like this, or any monsters within the game, I'll have to aim to take out. I'll also be taking out any random groups of bandits as well. And when they all stood in a nice little group, using the Axis sign with the Igni sign, I mean, I didn't even have to pull out my sword. It doesn't matter which character I'm playing, Oliver Swanwick deserves to go. And despite Vulpes telling me the horrors of what he's done, I decided to head straight over to Novak, because as I said, Geralt does not get himself involved in too much politics. I now have finally reached Ranger Andy, where I can finally pick up his technique, the Ranger Takedown. Now what the character does in first person is put his hand out in a big, like a high five. It looks exactly like using Ard in The Witcher 3. Well, any Witcher game. The problem is that you've got to pull your stick back and hold for heavy attack. Now you might see me land quite a lot in this game, but believe me, it is a very finicky ability. Sometimes it just doesn't happen and you just hit them with the power fist normally. Or by the time that you've backed up all the way and got your attack ready, they've already moved out of position where you can hit them. But we'll discuss those problems later on. For now, we have reached Camp Searchlight, mainly because this is where our first monster contract is leading us. Like I said earlier, Geralt is a monster hunter, and there's lots of big and unique monsters within Fallout New Vegas for Geralt to fight. So because of that, we have to make sure that we take out every potential unique monster that we can find. With that, we've got to hack ourselves into this terminal and go pick up some radiation chutes for Logan. Before we do that, however, there is a case of Private Edwards. When we entered this town, we were asked to go pick up the dog tags of some ghoulified soldiers. However, Private Edwards is not a feral ghoul. In fact, Private Edwards is completely sentient at this point, and Geralt does not attack or destroy any sentient being that is not proving to be a threat to him. So with that, Geralt completes the quest by sending Private Edwards off to the ghoul camp. All in all, an overall good thing to do. I hand in the dog tags and go speak to boxcars about where those radiation suits are. They're in a random cave near Nipton, and with that we can give them over to Logan. Now this quest isn't something I don't think Geralt would do, but it is wiping out monsters in the town. We approach the fire station, and this is where we meet our first serious monster, the Rad Scorpion Queen. For anyone who's ever played Fallout New Vegas, this is the most terrifying creature you will ever approach, probably the first one you ever approach in this game. However, with my current arsenal, it's not too much of a difficult fight, and I'm able to claim my first trophy of the game. If you don't know, when Geralt takes out a huge monster, he takes its head. But no time to celebrate, as Logan decides that he wants to be a bit of an ass. And once we've already taken out all the monsters and gathered the equipment, he decides to attack me. As you can see, I've accidentally hit one of them with the power fist. I am trying my best to do the ranger takedown, but it is just such a finicky thing. I do believe I get the final shot with it, but I did end up taking out a lot of his health with just normal attacks. I don't know if this fails a run. I don't think it does. I'm really trying my best to not hit them with the power fist. But the game is very old, so we'll take it as it comes. I pick up some mines, so that's my last sign done. So as it stands, I've got one sword and all my signs complete. I take all that straight to the Legion, but surprisingly I'm able to pick up an improved grip for the katana. Geralt in the past has had to answer summonings from powerful people, but the main reason we're here is to speak to Benny. Now like I've said before, Geralt is not a man fueled by revenge, but Benny has done us twice now. He shot us in the face and then ran. But he does let us know that there's something down in this bunker we should see, so we decide to head down. Speaking to Mr. House, he lets us know that there is a lot of power and a lot of potential down in this bunker, which Geralt is just simply not interested in. Geralt has no use for an army. Geralt has no need for a conquering force. However, he has been in many huge battles before, especially ones with like the Wild Hunt. So after taking out all the different defenses, he decides that he will upgrade the Securitrons. Not necessarily for anyone else, but just as almost like a failsafe. Caesar thinks that we destroyed the bunker, so he rewards us. And with that, he lets us know that we can decide how Benny is, well, dealt with. However, there's no way that we're just going to allow him to be crucified or attacked. There's only one fair way to settle this, and that is with hand-to-hand combat. Using our Ard sign over and over again, we take out Benny, giving him a warrior's finish, and allowing us to get, well, what we would consider the most satisfactory revenge. We allowed the gods to decide. And with that, Caesar asks us to take out House. Geralt is not an assassin for hire, and with that, Caesar has already locked himself out of us siding with him. With all this stress and all the different things going on, I think what Geralt needs is just a nice, simple monster contract. And what we find on this notice board is some place called Zion. They seem to be having a lot of problems with bandits and different monsters. So taking a break from all the politics of the Mojave, Geralt decides to travel over to the Northern Passage. It's here where we meet Jed Masterson. A good man, a nice man, an honest man. And all he wants is a little bit of protection while he takes his caravan through Zion. Geralt's not usually a bodyguard for hire, but the caps are good and the plan seems simple. And Jed seems like a nice guy, so he heads off to Zion to hopefully have a nice smooth contract and get some nice gold by the end. That is however short-lived, as our caravan is attacked. We don't have any ranged attacks, so I have to resort to some grenades. Luckily, Geralt has a wide array of bombs and deadly explosives that he can use in The Witcher 3, meaning that grenades are also now on the cards. We meet up with Follow's Jock and he lets us know about a guy called Joshua. On our way to Joshua's camp, we run into our first Yalgoi, a huge hulking bear. This is the most at home Geralt's felt in the Mojave. Huge mountains, some nice greenery, and deadly monsters. Geralt's always felt more at home fighting monsters. They're a lot easier to figure out, and their motives are always clear. There's no politics when it comes to monsters. But we do eventually meet Joshua Graham. He lets us know that he's leading a tribe, and all that tribe wants is peace. And all Geralt wants is peace from his most deadliest foe, the goddamn fall damage. Joshua's tribe is being attacked by Whitelegs. They are not the aggressor and they are being driven out from their homes. So Geralt decides that the only right thing to do is to help them against their war with the Whitelegs. First thing we have to do is grab this compass. The wind's howling. I face my greatest nemesis for the third time in this playthrough, and accidentally activate my cat's eye. This is the issue with hotkeying all my different items. Now I'm fighting geckos with my flamethrower on, in broad daylight. I cannot imagine how much pain his eyes must have been under during that battle. We reach the Zion Fishing Lodge, and eventually pick up all the walkie-talkies. We then find a monster trying to get on a roof, and unlike Roach, when he gets on the roof, I need to bring this monster down. Try that, you piece of filth. We're able to grab the medical supplies, and give a salute to General Store. How do you like that silver? After taking out the mole rats, we grab the key from the cash register, and pick up the last of the Little Scout lunch boxes. With that, we run into Waking Cloud, who lets us know where Daniel is. She also lets us know about a shaman who has a bit of a problem with a huge bear, but we'll speak to them later. Now it's time to speak to Daniel, who leads a different tribe, the Dead Horses. They are similar to Joshua's tribe. They never came for this fight, they never came for a war, but they're being hunted down by the Whitelegs anyway. So Geralt offers his sword to help protect them. However, before we do that, we did hear about a nice little contract involving a huge bear. Before we can partake though, we must find some more sacred root, and we run into Joshua as we're trying to leave. He hits us with a lot of biblical stuff, which Geralt's not particularly interested in, and we go around picking up some Dakura root. With the Dakura root found, we're able to partake in the ritual. However, I don't think we expected this. Surprisingly, this is not the first time this has happened to Geralt. Taking some random potion, some random elixir to help us take out a monster is not a new topic. So with the hallucinations taking place, and a sense of justice and, oh, I don't know, the brain's all over the place at this point, we go hunt down the ghost of She. The monster in this is infested with a bunch of very powerful, well, plant-based monsters really. Spore carriers and huge plants defend the ghost of She, but once they're taken out, it's time for the one-on-one fight. The ghost of She is a very powerful monster. We actually ended up losing a couple times here. The ghost of She can teleport, it can despawn, it can make copies of itself. And I'm not sure how much of this is just the different potions that we've been taking. But on this attempt, we're finally able to take them down, picking up our second trophy of this playthrough. Probably one of the most difficult trophies Geralt's ever had to take because, I mean, it's on fire the entire time. But luckily my clothes seem to be flame retardant. Geralt can say that word, right? That's okay. With the trophy in hand, we're able to head back to Whitebird and let him know that it's done. He fashions the pot into a weapon for us, but at this point Geralt is not choosing to use it. We are very happy with our trusty sword. With that trophy collected, we head over to Morning Glory Cave and pick up the map of the Grand Staircase. The tribes will be using this to escape out of the canyon. is here we run back into the White Legs. Through this DLC there is no redeeming qualities of them. They do not wish to talk, they do not wish to negotiate, they just want to take everyone out, so Geralt will repay them with the same type of hospitality. It's also at this point that I've picked up the knockdown perk, which is making this sword even more powerful. And even though the White Legs use a lot of melee weapons, we're still able to break right through their defences. I'm also trying to mix up all the weapons that I'm using. I don't rely too much on just one specific weapon. I want to mix and match, use all the signs, use all the different types of things I can use. With mixed results. I go and disarm all the different bear traps on this bridge, and come face to face with the scariest rat scorpion in the game. It is a teleporting rat scorpion. I don't know where he went, I don't know who took it out, but I'm going to move on and fight the Yao Guai anyway. Maybe the rat scorpion is haunting me, maybe it's the soul of the queen. That was a queen I took out, that's technically regicide, which is a big no-no in the Witcher universe, so maybe I'm being haunted by scorpions. I do head back to Daniel, and we discuss the plan for leaving the canyon. It's here where you can pick the side of Daniel, which is escaping, or sitting with Joshua, which is fighting. And I believe that Geralt would help Joshua. We're able to train these tribes to protect themselves, and I believe Geralt would rather leave them in a state fit to defend it, rather than just fixing their problems for them and running away. Joshua is very grateful for us making this decision, so we decide to head for their leader. Salt Upon Wounds is, well, he's a bad guy. He's a very bad guy. And we have been able to find some exploding sunset sarsaparilla balls, so yeah, that's another bomb added to our collection. This quest is not difficult, but kind of annoying when you don't have a ranged weapon. A lot of the White Legs sit on top of high rocks, and Geralt with a flamethrower and a sword is not particularly effective in bringing them down. Luckily, Joshua has a hell of a pistol on him and a hell of a shot to match. So we're able to take out most of the people on the ground, but he takes out most of the people in the sky. Someone blocks our path through the canyon, and Joshua Graham, similar to the rat scorpion, decides to show me his ability of teleportation. I mean, why did you even walk all this way if you were just able to teleport? But with all these spirits leaving me, I decided to make my own way over to Salt Upon Winds. After battling through even more White Legs, we eventually do reach the leader, where Joshua Graham is doing some, well, let's say less than savoury things. I don't think Geralt would approve of just taking these guys out while they're sat on their knees. So I let Salt Upon Wounds stand up, and similar to Benny, fight his corner. We'll let the gods decide if he survives. He does not. He goes down pretty quick actually. I mean, just look how quick I can swing this katana, man. Again, it's why it's so high on my top 10 melee weapons. Watch after you watch this video, go on, woohoo! But with that, the White Legs have been taken out of Zion, the tribes now have a home that's safe, and we are able to finish off Honest Hearts. Joshua bestows on us what any rational person would do. He gathered up all the different clothes from all the people we met and put them in a box. Like, how many different armors does he have? He must have stripped down to his boxers and left them in that box for us. With that, Geralt looks out on Zion with pride, but also a little bit of sorrow, because now he has to head back to the Mojave and get involved in more politics. So far, Mr. House hasn't given us much of a reason to distrust him, and he actually sends us off to meet the Boomers. He wants an alliance, and he wants peace. So far this seems to be one of the more, rational people we've spoken to. After we run ourselves through this barrage of attacks, we eventually reach the Air Force Base. Now initially, Geralt's opinion of them is not very high. They've attacked us, they have shot at us for no reason, but after meeting Pearl, Geralt feels a lot more at ease. She appears to be a genuinely nice person that just wants to help her people. But unfortunately they've got a couple of problems that need fixed, and a nice little monster contract for us to take on as well. Our first task is to help Argyle. Some of the people have fell sick, and Geralt knows his way around some medicine, so he's able to help out. The next thing to do is to listen to Pete. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do, Pete is always a good choice. We've also gathered some resources that Jack would like. With that we hand over 32 scrap metal. Despite being idealized though, we still want to head over to the generator room. Like I said before, there is a monster contract down here to take out a bunch of ants. Not just ants, exploding ants. and it's at this point it's very handy that we only have melee weapons. With that, we let Raquel know that it's all been fixed, and we tell Pearl that we've helped out all of her people. Lyle lets us know that there's some plane at the bottom of the water that he wants us to grab, and we also decide to head over to Dr. Usagi, as I want to get some of the implants. These implants give us regenerating power and stronger skin, just like a Witcher. I probably should have done it earlier in the run, to make it feel a bit more authentic for longer in the game, but it's a lot of caps to buy them, so I eventually got round to it. I ride this late lug all the way across to the bomber, and use my ability to hold my breath to reach down to the bottom of the lake. This must be some different version of Axie that I've never seen, but it's almost like I'm able to call on these lake lugs and use them as some sort of boat. With that, we raise the Lady of the Lake, and let the boomers know of the great job. With that, I am now a friend of the boomers, and they have decided to support me in whatever happens later in the game. With that, we head over to speak to Mr. House. But we also got a message from an NCR soldier. Their leader was also like to speak to us. So we decide to head over to the embassy and speak to Ambassador Crocker. Fortunately, he also wanted us to help with the boomers, and he wants us to end the violence in Freeside. But again, at this point, this is a little bit too much politics for Geralt. So while passing through a town, he also runs into another notice board, which has just pure monster contracts on them. Some big dangerous beasts are out there, and it's Geralt's job to take them out. The first monster we run into are aliens. Not something we've ever ran into in the Witcher universe, but I suppose, what is an alien? The only thing that I know is that the aliens are gone. And with that, I'm able to pick up our third trophy of the playthrough. Luckily, I picked up the Wild Wasteland perk, or I wouldn't be able to do that. Plus, I also used the Holy Frag Grenade to take them out. So we'll chalk that whole sign up to the Wild Wasteland. With that, we decide to take out the fire ants as well. Over in this barn, there's a huge nest of fire ants just sitting underneath this ant mound. And down here is a very unique creature. As it's a dark cave, we decide to activate our cat's eyes, and it's here you might have noticed that I have a new weapon. Perfect for the Ant Queen. This is the only Ant Queen in all of Fallout New Vegas, and I thought why not pick up the Gehenna, the flaming sword. Like I said before, Geralt needs 2 swords, and the only other one than the katana is this one on fire. I'm not sure what happened to it, I may have deleted it in the editing process, me buying the sword, but I'm sure you guys believe me. With the giant ant queen, I used the Gehenna sword, a little bit of the flamer, and decided to take it out with Ard, making the giant ant queen our 4th trophy to gather in this game. I'll never forget the first time running into that. It was in Fallout 3, and it was terrifying in there as well. It feels almost worse in Fallout New Vegas because it really feels like it shouldn't have been there. I almost felt like it was a glitch. Why did the developers leave that thing in there? After that monstrosity, it's time to go fight a monster that's a bit more, easier for the brain. That's the best way I can describe it. Heading over to Fire Root Cavern, we run into a nest of fire geckos. Best thing to take out fire geckos is more fire. I don't know if any of that's true, but again, I wanted to cycle through all of my grenades. Plus, you want to try and clear as much of the gas down there as you can. With that though, we finally meet the legendary fire gecko. I'll be honest, he's not that much bigger than most fire geckos. I mean, he's definitely bigger, but if for some reason your HUD wasn't working or you turned them all off, you wouldn't have known this was the main enemy of Fire Root Cavern. And with all that, we're able to take him down pretty simply. After taking out the last fire gecko, we're finally able to collect our trophy. The legendary fire gecko is our 5th trophy of the playthrough. Looking back at it now, I probably should have tried to have done all this in order of difficulty. Going from the alien captain to the ant queen to the legendary fire gecko seems a little bit out of order. But there is no rest for a monster hunter, and after wandering all the way around this desert for far too long that the sun came up, we're able to find the scorpion burrow. Something I walked straight past when I first got here. Similar to the giant ant queen, we're down in a dark cave, so we activate our cat eye and see the rad scorpion queen. We decide to use more of our Iridan signs and lay down a bunch of different frag mines trying to slow the queen down. We do end up crippling a couple of its legs and using the knockdown feature. The rest of the rad scorpions in the nest decide to attack as well, and there's nothing better for crowd control than Igni. With the cat eye, the blue cleansing flame, it looks like we've been drinking a lot of Nuka-Cola Quantum down here. But despite how blue it might look, we're still very happy by the end of this fight as we're able to gather our second Rad Scorpion Queen trophy and our 6th monster trophy overall. I had no idea about the second Rad Scorpion Queen. I thought it was just like the Fire Ant Queen. But no, there is 2, which is why it's actually rarer to find a Giant Ant Queen, because there is only one of that. On our way to our next contract we run into a couple of Deathclaws. I'll be honest, I was pretty worried about the Deathclaws. But our character has been built up so well that actually taking out groups of Deathclaws aren't too difficult. We're even able to use our Ard sign a little bit. Something that I've not been avoiding, but I am still fully aware of its irritable nature of using it properly. With the Deathclaws taken out, we can enter Bloodborne Cave. This is not a Bloodborne playthrough, this is a Witcher playthrough. And because of that terrible joke, we face one of the more difficult enemies in the game. Nothing to really do with one creature. Bloodborne Cave gets its difficulty because of the amount of Night Stalkers you fight. So we use a strong combination of mines and swords. Or should I say Iridan and swords. With a lot of the nest already taken out, it's time to find the legendary Night Stalker, the trophy that we're looking for. And luckily for us, the legendary Night Stalker has got himself stuck in, well, the only thing I can describe this is that it's got itself stuck in some sand. No, it doesn't, it's got itself out. With one swing of our sword, we're able to knock it straight back down. We attempt to use some clever tactics here, use a lot of block, and attack when it's in its retreat animation. I switch between the katana and Gehenna, just so I can add a little bit of fire damage, and as we defeat the legendary Night Stalker, our cat eye wears off as well. But with our vision a lot more clear, and to be honest I do prefer the game without the cat's eye on, we're able to gather our 7th trophy, and probably our hardest fought trophy so far. However, that might be a short-lived title reign, as the next area we're going to has, well, it has multiple trophies, but it will be our most difficult one. We are heading to Quarry Junction. In Quarry Junction there is a lot of Deathclaws. Specifically though, there's 2 Deathclaw trophies that we're looking to gather, the Mother Deathclaw and the Alpha Deathclaw. Not only them though, we have a huge nest of Deathclaws surrounding them as well. The previous monster contracts have just been take out monsters in their nests, but this one does serve a huge purpose. We need to clear out this quarry so people can get back to work. And believe me, only using a melee weapon is, although easier before, the sheer number of Deathclaws, well, I'm sure you can see just how quickly our health falls down. Like I said, leather armor is perfect for Geralt's look, and leather armor won't get you, well, it's not going to protect you against Deathclaws. So with a combination of the knockdown perk, spamming Stimpaks in the bottom tab, we're able to circle and get Deathclaws into small groups of 2. A group of 2 I'm able to take out, knock down one and then attack the other. However, that does change as we go deeper into Quarry Junction. The thing about special Deathclaws is that they pack even more of a punch. And monsters such as the Mother Deathclaw, well, they have a huge boost to speed and a huge boost to damage. If the enemy can one-shot you even if you're blocking, then it does not matter how strong your character is, it does not matter how well prepared you are. You've got to be able to take at least one hit. And with the Mother Deathclaw, the speed that she can run, and the speed in which she can attack, means that Geralt's going to have to use a very smart and a very tactically created method to take her out. Because she's able to jump over mountains to take you out. I decided to put all the different items at my disposal to use. And after I devised that plan, I threw all of that out the window because the Mother Deathclaw got herself trapped on a rock. I don't make the rules. However, I will definitely exploit them, And the first rule of Fallout New Vegas is that thy game shall glitch, there shall be bugs, and I will use every single one of them to my advantage. As I am unable to get anywhere close to the Mirror Deathclaw without getting one-shotted, I decide since she's stuck, just to hit her with the flames. I also decide to throw a couple bombs at her, and I get a critical strike on one of her babies. That does however set her off into a berserk, meaning that if she even sneezes at me, I am going to get taken out. I do however don't take my own advice, and I think well, her health's low enough, I'll be able to take out the last little bit of it with my sword. I'm a fool. Don't blame Geralt, blame me. I am a fool. Better to be safe than sorry, and I decided to use the Igni sign to finish her off. As the Mother Deathclaw sidesteps her way to her own death, Geralt is able to watch the Mother Deathclaw fall and gather his 8th trophy of this playthrough. I would like to say it was the hardest so far, but the cheesy nature of this game, well, it made it a lot simpler, despite me trying to make it even harder for myself. However, the celebrations of gathering my 8th trophy is short-lived, as I need to now gather my 9th. The Deathclaw alpha male is not as fast as the Mother Deathclaw, but he packs so much more damage. Through my block, he's able to take out 98% of my health. So similar to the Mother Deathclaw, I'm going to have to devise an even smarter strategy. I decide that I'll try and weaken him as much as possible with bombs, and hope that I can maybe slow him down with a crippling effect, so I try and get his leg taken out. However, I get extremely lucky with that grenade, and it's able to also knock him down. With the Deathclaw alpha male knocked over, I'm able just to spam my katana, get him knocked down one more time, and finish him off. I'm telling you right now, I have never had such luck ever going into Quarry Junction. Getting the Mother Deathclaw glitched and the alpha male knocked down with a grenade is unbelievable luck, making my 9th trophy of the game a lot simpler than I thought it should have been. I travel back to Chomp Lewis and let him know the good news, and decide to head up to Black Mountain as well. When I passed through here earlier, I saw that it was swarming with super mutants, and super mutants are not sentient, well at least not these ones. And as I've been listening to the radio, there's someone trapped up here. So as Geralt has done many times before, he is going to go rescue a human from a bunch of monsters. At this point, this is a pretty nice change of pace. Quarry Junction took a long time to get my way through. Even with all that luck, it still took a good amount of playing time. But once I've taken out all the Nightkin and super mutants outside, I'm able to pick up Cuddle's toy car and meet up with the human that's been captured. Now I know what you guys are thinking, Raoul is a ghoul, not a human. But he was a human and he is fully sentient and non-aggressive. So there is simply no way that Geralt would ever attack him. However, these Nightkins and Tabitha attacking me makes them completely fair game. And at this point, the knockdown effect of this katana and how quick I can swing it is getting a little bit overpowered, as Tabitha pretty much stood no chance fighting against Geralt. Even with all these Nightkins and super mutants being masters, not one of them ever really puts up real much of a challenge. With Raoul saved, I decide to send him back to the hotel at the Lucky 38, and finally continue on the questline for Ambassador Crocker. He was looking to create some peace, and Geralt is not a peacemaker himself, he is not the law. However, stopping needless dying within the community for a Witcher is a good thing. With humans not fighting each other, they can focus more on monsters, and hiring Witchers. However, there's a bit of a mummer's Witcher that has been bothering the kings. Oris is a bodyguard, who for 200 caps will get you across the whole of Freeside. However, there is something fishy about Oris. Our job is to simply investigate and see if there's anything up. We do end up getting attacked by a Freeside thug, and Oris is pretty handy taking them down, and he takes down these 3 thugs as well. However, Geralt is not a silly man and he notices that he did not fire enough shots, and after using our medical skill, we're able to check these bodies. It is obvious that these people are not dead. However, we are no judge, jury or executioner, so after we figure all this out, the only thing that we find fitting to do is to head back to the kings. And with that, we turn him into the king. One thing that can really damage a Witcher's reputation is having fake Witchers going around and not helping people. So with that, we decide to help the king with his other quests. The problem is that the king and the NCR have been having a lot of problems over the territory. NCR civilians are moving in and the locals and Freesides don't want them there. The NCR has been trying to make peace, but something happened one night where a bunch of people got attacked. We're quickly able to deduce that this guy Pacer has been the one causing all this stuff. And after that, Pacer goes to attack the NCR. We do, however, let the NCR know that the king was not unwilling to negotiate with them, and it was in fact someone else. Well, Pacer, but we don't let them know that. With this quest done, we're able to stop all the violence in Freeside. After that, we decide to go check on the Omertas as well. A tip that we got about them lets us know to speak to the receptionist. She lets us know about all the funny business that's been going on. We speak to Caccino, and we end up stealing Caccino's journal. However, again, we're not here to take anyone out, so Caccino lets us know about all the dirty things that are going on in the hotel. We go speak to Clandon, who is a disgusting, horrible human, and we're able to steal his room key and find his snuff tapes. In the research for this video, I wanted to complete it by turning him into the NCR. However, after I wasn't able to do it, I did eventually learn that it's not possible. There's a glitch in the game that does not allow the quest to be completed that way. So I have to do a bit of Witcher justice and take out Clandon myself. The rest of the bosses are setting up an attack on the strip. And that's one thing Geralt cannot stand for, is a bunch of bandits and thugs trying to take out a town. So even though Caccino might not be the best guy, he's certainly better than Big Sal and Nero right now. So we head to our meeting with Big Sal and Nero. However, we currently do not have a weapon, but we were able to pick up some grenades. With that grenade, we were able to take out Big Sal, and with our second grenade, we were able to take out Nero as well. That gets us accepted, and we're able to head ourselves right back over to Mr. House. I let him know that they were conspiring to take over his town. However, his next quest for us involves wiping out an entire bunker of people. Like I've said, Geralt is no assassin for hire, so I decided to go back to speak to the NCR to see if they're a better option for Geralt. We let him know that we've resolved the situation in Freeside, and he sends us to Hoover Dam to speak to some more higher ups. On our way to Hoover Dam though, we stopped by Boulder City. There's some people in there that were involved in us getting shot right at the start of the game, and even though we're about 40 minutes into this playthrough, I decided to go deal with Jessup. After speaking to Jessup, we were able to figure out what the situation is. Despite being part of the plan, there was nothing personal, and being able to end this situation without any bloodshed seems to be the most Geralt option to do. So with the cans free and Boulder City under the NCR control again, we're able to go speak to Colonel Moore. Colonel Moore wants us to go speak to the exact same people that we just dealt with, the Great Khans. However, she is hinting at doing something that isn't very Geralt. But luckily for me, I am fully aware that there is a very diplomatic way of resolving this. Making my way over to Red Rock, we come face to face with Papa Khan, someone who wants to side with Caesar's Legion due to the horrible things that were committed to them by the NCR. Geralt can kind of sympathise with this. Instead, we decide to help the Great Khans understand that the Legion may not be the best solution for them. I did say before that Geralt doesn't like to meddle in politics, but sometimes politics meddle with him. And I do believe that Geralt would try and help Papa Khan so his entire tribe doesn't get wiped out by the Legion, because that's where it's going to go. After we turn them all on Carl, we've got to go now speak to all the advisors of Papa Khan to get their support in not supporting the Legion. The first person we go speak to is Diane. And it's actually pretty simple to get most of these guys to not support Caesar. Simply telling them how they treat women is enough to get Jack to support. The next person we've got to go speak to is Melissa, and luckily we've already wiped out all of Quarry Junction. I believe for Melissa it was supposed to be the challenge of Quarry Junction to get to her, because once you speak to her she immediately takes your side. With Papa Khan, we let them know that they should be proud of their history, and Papa Khan decides that he is going to get his tribe out of the Mojave as the battle happens, saving a lot of life and removing a pretty vicious gang from the Mojave, so all in all a big win for Geralt. Colonel Moore is pretty happy with that news, and she's also asked us to help with the Omertas, something that we've already done. However, this is far too much politics for Geralt already. I mean, he has had his fill of politics for the time being. So he decides to hit up another notice board and get some more monster contracts. Like we said before, Geralt feels a lot more comfortable dealing with monsters. Like I said, monsters don't manipulate, monsters don't play politics, monsters just monster. So taking them out is almost like a holiday for him. We head straight over to Deadwind Cavern, which is kind of like a second quarry junction. Except here we'll find the legendary Deathclaw. Now, similar to Quarry Junction, the problem with Deathclaws aren't fighting them one-on-one, it's fighting them in large groups. I also persist with the cat eyes, which honestly just make my vision worse. I don't know why I keep using it, especially because I'm using so many fire weapons as well. I decide to lead the majority of the initial Deathclaws outside of the cave, and as I go deeper I find the first Deathclaw mother. And this Deathclaw mother is, well, not so difficult. I mean, it still takes me out a few times, but this time I know what the tactic is. Wait for the Deathclaw mother to somehow glitch themselves into a rock, and I can slowly pick away their health from a distance. This time the Deathclaw mother somehow got stuck in this corner. I start throwing tons of grenades at her to cripple her legs, and once she's trapped in a corner, I'm able to get in there and use the knockdown feature. However, a trophy is still a trophy, and this is my second Deathclaw mother trophy of the playthrough, and my 10th monster trophy overall. All in all, I'm pretty satisfied with the progress I'm making. However, similar to Quarry Junction, the Deathclaw mother is not the only trophy I'm here for. We're here to also find the legendary Deathclaw, which I believe is just a Deathclaw alpha male scaled up. And if there's anything we learned about them, is that the best thing that I can do is try and get a knockdown. Spam all my different stim packs and try and see if I can get him off his feet. I'll be honest, he was a much more difficult fight than I anticipated. He seemed to be able to resist against being knocked down. But I also picked up the Stonewall perk, meaning I couldn't get knocked down, so it was just a case of how long would it take until he did fall. The fire damage chipping away, I'm able to claim my 11th trophy of the playthrough and my first and last legendary Deathclaw. Although with the legendary Deathclaw taken out, this will not be my last Deathclaw, well, let's say Deathclaw Sanctuary to take out. And as I'm leaving the cave, there is a bunch of Deathclaws waiting for me, like a gang of Deathclaws waiting to take me out. In a fit of anger about the amount of Deathclaws I had to find, I decided to go pick on the blind Deathclaw. These are abominations, and I believe Geralt would do everything in his power to wipe out every single Deathclaw he can find. And like I hinted to earlier, we're making our way to the final Deathclaw stronghold, the Deathclaw Sanctuary. Now here we should be able to find a Deathclaw mother and another Deathclaw alpha male, and many other Deathclaws as well. I decided to take the slower approach to this attack. So slow in fact that it became nighttime. A lot of the Deathclaws you can defeat by just leading them out into the water. And when you're both underwater they actually can't hit you. It definitely helps with the numbers game that they have. This was the first playthrough I ever really started to appreciate the block feature. It does really assist, especially with enemies like Deathclaws. But with the final young Deathclaw defeated, I thought, right, well the mother and the alpha will be coming out any minute now. I was indeed wrong. It's a known glitch. I've had it a few times on Xbox. I have it quite a lot on PC, where the two main Deathclaws just don't spawn, and also the Enclave armor and the T-51B armor on the two dead bodies nearby also doesn't spawn. I mean, at this point I'll take the little bit of luck that I've been given, as we are far from finished with our monster hunting. The next place we're going is Silver Peak Mine. Now I'm sure a lot of you know what Silver Peak Mine has in store for us. It's where we'll find the Enclave helmet that would have matched the armor we would have found at the Deathclaw Sanctuary. But instead of Deathclaws, this place is crawling with Cazadors. And the legendary Cazador, which we'll see later on. But for now we're going to be using as much Igni as we can. Obviously being a bug, they are weak to fire. And even though there's a large number of them crawling all over the backside of this cave, all I can think of is what would Geralt say. Take that, you piece of filth! The wind's howling. How do you like that silver? Do you want to play Gwent? They don't. The Cazadors don't want to play Gwent. Well, that's their loss because Gwent is a fun game. But once you reach the end of the mine, the legendary Cazador spawns in. Now, even at this level, the legendary Cazador can do pretty much my entire health bar with one sting. So using the block and using the Gehenna is a smart plan despite it failing on this attempt. Second attempt, and I decided to take a little bit more of a, well, I was going to say smarter approach, but I decided to jump right on top of it. I also put away my flaming sword. The goal was to swing the katana faster to see if I can get a quick knockdown. Once an enemy's knocked down, it's pretty much over for them. But you see there, one hit by the legendary Cazador, that's 80% of my health gone. Plus the poison damage, there's just no way I can survive it without spamming stimpaks. This attempt I decided to weaken it with a lot of Igni before I go in for the kill. But as you can see, one knockdown makes all the difference. With the legendary Cazador defeated, that is Geralt gaining his 12th trophy of this playthrough. However, there is a serious problem that is occurring in this playthrough. Where are all these abominations coming from? Well, that's what Geralt aims to find out as he heads into Old World Blues. Geralt had heard rumours of this place spawning out abominations all across the Mojave. So we decide to take action and see it for ourselves. We are immediately got our spine ripped out and our brain ripped out. And our heart. But we're stripped of emotions anyway, so that's not too much of a problem. We're introduced to all the crazy mad robots. And we get to go have a conversation with our sink, who will sell us stuff. Now despite us having to help the floating brains in a jar, so we can finally leave this place, our main goal is to wipe out all the creatures that are spawning all the big baddies that are happening in the Mojave. That is a quote directly from the book. I remember that when reading The Witcher. Watch out, Dandelion, there's a big baddie. Our first target in Old World Blues is Shadis. Shadis is a Night Stalker, similar to the legendary one, but slightly smaller. I believe when reading through the kind of game data on terminals, Shadis is the original Night Stalker, the kind of Patient Zero. No, not Patient Zero, Test Subject. The first one, it's the first one. I decided for this battle to use as much of my Ard sign as I can, and I am getting much better with it. And we even get to see a nice little two-step goodbye explosion. With Shadis taken out, Geralt is able to acquire his 13th trophy of this playthrough. Not too much to write home about with this one, it was a pretty simple task, just kinda like taking out a regular Night Stalker. With that we can head back into the big MT, and start continuing on with both monster hunting and the storyline. When entering the X8 facility we find, well, the weird gene splicing area. And it's here that I didn't realise you can get a temporary companion. For anyone who doesn't know what a temporary companion is, well, the clue's in the name. Similar to the Squishy or Salty, whatever the boy's name from Little Lamplight and Fallout 3, we can gain this dog Roxy. And Roxy will accompany us and be like a companion, except if she gets taken out, she gets taken out. We can't quite help her back with a good old stimpak. But we're going to start making our way through the main story, and that means going through the high school. When taking out this turtle, like, oh, Jesus, Roxy! Oh, Roxy, are you okay? Oh, she's fine. Come on, Roxy, fight! Oh, no! I will not claim the Roxy trophy. She'll get a full funeral with military honours. A full service, that's the word I was looking for. She'll get a Redanian funeral. In terms of the quest for Big MT, I don't think Geralt would particularly want to do any of this, but in terms of you have to finish it to leave, I believe he would drag himself through it and get it done quickly as possible. So my goal isn't to waste too much time showing you every step of it. However, we do have one more thing we gotta do in this exit facility. There is a big old good boy called Gabe that we need to speak to. Gabe is a much more formidable opponent than I initially thought because he somehow implements some mage teleportation, some sort of dark realm nonsense to trick me. I enter the portal out of fear, but Gabe is still here. And as I watch Gabe bully some poor little rad scorpion, it's time to begin this fight. Gabe is quite an interesting, mutant to fight. He's pretty quick to take out, but actually ends up having one of the saddest stories when you read about what the scientists did to him, just pumping him full of chems and just ruining the poor boy. But unfortunately we're here with a mission and a trophy to collect, and we finally gather number 14 on our list. Not particularly proud of that one. Would have rather have not grabbed it. But there's no emotion when it comes to monster killing. And you know, I'm sure I'll get my answers later when I go back to speak to the brains about what happened to poor Gabe. But before we can worry about all that, we gotta battle our way through all the rat scorpions. Mobius is sending hordes of these things after us. And after battling our way through that gaggle of scorpions, we arrive at Higgs Village. This is one of the many reasons we have to put on the Wild Wasteland Park. It's to fight Little Stripe. Anyone who doesn't know, he is a reference to the Gremlins movie. And I'm pretty sure he's just the legendary Deathclaw scaled down. As you can see, one hit and I am out. I think in terms of raw damage output, I think Stripe's in the top 2 of enemies in Fallout New Vegas. I think the only one that competes with him is Roar, that we'll meet later. But similar to also many encounters in this playthrough, once Geralt gets that knockdown with his sword, he's able to start gathering his 15th trophy. Although it may be our smallest trophy so far, it is by no means our least proud. Stripe's head will look beautiful hanging from my saddle on Roach. And people may look and squint their eyes and think, is that a cat head he's got? But I'll know. And that was one of the toughest opponents we ever had to fight. We take Gabe's bow before we leave and get ambushed by a bunch of bandits outside. I feel quite bad for the lobotomites. They were somewhat humans that were tortured, but at this point they are no longer sentient, so they've got to go, bruv. They've got to go. But as we're walking around here, what is that we can hear? It's the wind howling. And we're better to feel the wind in our hair than taken to the top of the X2 antenna station. This is another part of the main quest, something we've just got to gather. And if you didn't know, the X2 antenna is the only weapon in Fallout New Vegas that starts with letter X. Thank you to Norbit for that knowledge. We head over to the X13 research facility so we can gather the special stealth suit. If you guys saw my top 10 armors in Fallout New Vegas, you'll know that I rank this pretty high, because it's a really interesting and unique piece of armor. Before I take on the stealth quest, I do what anyone should be doing in this DLC, and I take out all the roll battles on all the turrets before you begin. This speeds it up completely. I mean, there's no reason not to do it. They don't respawn until you get to the mission where you have to turn them off. So yeah, if you don't want to waste too much time down here, make sure you take all them out before you go gathering documents. Just make sure you catch this guy at the back here, because I did not see him on the first attempt. With the X13 document, I gotta fight my way through another gaggle of rad scorpions again. Am I saying rad scorpions? I mean robo scorpions. That impression, I wasn't even close to Mobius, was it? Not even minutely close. What would Geralt do in this situation? He would stare broodingly at the screen. That's not very entertaining for the fans at home. What would he say? Do you want to play Gwent? That's not going to help in this moment. Right, I return back to the brains floating. They are as assy as usual. And surprise, surprise, they've got more errands for me to run. But before we keep going on with any more of their nonsense, it's time for me to go back monster hunting. This is definitely the one you want to do the least. It's never fun wiping out Cazadors. But with all the Cazadors I've been taking out all over the Mojave and now taking them out here, I've come very accustomed to it. Pull out the Igni sign and start blazing them down. I even get a nice little perk. Would have been nice having that in Silver Peak Mine. What we're looking for is, well, not Patient Zero. Why do I always try and say Patient Zero? Patient Zero was the first person to get an infection, not a test subject. We're here for Subject 1. Test Subject 1. This one specifically, this guy right behind this door. He's not even one. He's not even a specimen 73. What was 72 like? God, what was specimen 1 like? So many questions, so little time. But unlike Shadow, specimen 73 isn't very much unique at all. It does allow us to get another perk, but overall it's just a regular Cazador. I mean, I suppose it being have a special name, I suppose this would be our 16th trophy of this playthrough. But it doesn't feel like something I'd be very proud walking around with. I think most people would just assume that's a regular Cazador, right? And I'm like, no, it's a special one. It's why is it special? It's really old. But why does that make it special? Do you want to play Gwent? Going off to finish our final errand for the brains in the jar, it's time to finally confront old Mobius. Now, Mobius has been sending us non-stop Robo-Scorpion this entire playthrough. So he is a menace to the Mojave, he is a menace to Big MT, and he definitely has to be stopped. Entering the Robo facility, we are faced with possibly the biggest enemy that you can find in all of Fallout New Vegas. Actually, it might be the biggest enemy in any Fallout game. This is the giant Robo-Scorpion. And despite having huge size, it's well, it's not too much stronger than the regular Robo-Scorpions. It does have one big positive though, is that you can't knock it down, so my cheesy effect of knocking them down and spamming my sword won't quite work. However, if you get immediately in front of it, it can't really fight back. So for this boss fight, I've got a lot of freedom, to be honest. I started changing up my weapon, started using some bombs instead. Mainly for variety, not really out of, well, I need this weapon. It was more, I could have done it with the sword, but I decided to change up the approach a little bit more. The use of the grenades was more or less just to reduce my carry weight. And with that, I'm able to finish off the giant Robo-Scorpion. How do you like that silver? You piece of filth? Do you want to play some Gwent? With the giant Robo-Scorpion taken out, it's quite difficult to find myself a trophy. But I do eventually find a nice little scrap. And Geralt is able to pick up his 17th trophy of this playthrough. They're coming thick and fast at this point. The giant Robo-Scorpion should have been my biggest trophy, but it'll probably end up being my smallest, as I was only really able to gather anything from a nut and a bolt lying on the floor after it blew itself up. With all his defenses defeated, I can finally talk to Dr. Mobius. Now, Dr. Mobius in any other casual playthrough is kind of a sympathetic, goofy character. However, Geralt is no fool. Despite his almost lack of awareness of what's been going on due to him, it almost makes him more dangerous, as Mobius has been sitting in this facility, melting his brain with mentats, and just sending out murderous robots out into the wastes. Now, he may not be intentionally doing this, but he's still doing it. So we take him out and go have a conversation with our brain. Now, if there's one thing that Geralt's brain is going to be pretty unhappy about, it is just all the fighting and potions it goes through. However, it's also stripped of emotions. So we take him back and make our way towards the other brains in jars. As by all accounts, from what we've found in this big MT, all the experiments, all the lobotomites, all the death, all the horrors, these people are by no means good. In fact, they are downright evil. So even despite the sentience of them and their not initial threat to us, I still believe the safest thing for all the humans and all the people of the Mojave is to take out the floating brains. Especially the one that was torturing poor Gabe. He deserves to go first. The brains are by no means a final boss fight in this. They are a very simple enemy to take down. The giant Robo-Scorpion, that's supposed to be the final fight. After that, it's just doing a little bit of admin. Cleaning up the little bit of scum lying around these different laboratories. And with all the brains taken out, we can leave the sink and we have officially finished Old World Blues. But Geralt's not finished yet. There's one more place that he's got to go. And that's straight to the mysterious cave, as this is where we are going to find the most powerful enemy in this game. I believe by all accounts and all stats and any YouTuber I've ever watched, the legendary boat fight is by far the most difficult enemy to take down. I think a combination of its high damage, its huge health pool, and the fact that it floats. If you're a melee build like me, it's pretty difficult to get up to him. And on that first attempt, you could see I nearly took him out. The knockdown effect really helped me out. But the second that bloatfly started floating away, I was more or less powerless to take him out. So I decided to take a little bit of a smarter approach. I found a nice little vantage point and started throwing all the bombs that I had left. The goal here was to more or less whittle down its health as much as I could, all the while hiding from its huge energy beam. I can usually take one energy blast at a time, and when I do, I can retreat and get more stimpaks. This whittling down process, well, it was taking a bit long, so I decided to use one of my very rare holy frag grenades. The first one I used on the aliens, and the second one goes to the legendary bloatfly. I wonder where I'll use my third one. If you have a good guess, leave it down below in the comments before the end of the video. Don't cheat. But we've nearly got half of its health gone, so we might as well just use the last of our frag grenades. I decided to just get the health down to 1 bar, and instead of just using a grenade to finish it off, I decided to fight it one-on-one. I do a jumping attack, fall down, and accidentally forgot that the legendary bloatfly explodes on death. Well, going back and whittling all its health down again, I decide the same approach, and this time I get a good knockdown and get my butt out of there. Even at that distance, he's still able to cripple my arm. The only trophy that's left for us to find is a pile of goo on the floor. But, even though it's a pile of goo, it's still going to be our 18th trophy of this playthrough. I've always found the legendary bloatfly's inventory very interesting. The cycle, the buff out, the microfusion cells. But the 50 bloatfly meat. I mean, it makes sense, but I don't know, it always just makes me laugh. With all the big monsters in the big MT taken out, I head back to the Mojave and go to speak to Mr. House. This is unfortunately where I believe the run fails. Despite whatever path I want to take, Mr. House has to go. If I take the Mr. House path, then other characters also have to get taken out. So it's here where I believe that Geralt has to commit the one act that he wouldn't do. Assassinate someone for political gain. If you guys think the run has failed, let me know in the comments down below. However, it is a necessary evil. So what I'll do is I'll open up his chamber. And I know some of you may think that I don't actually have to take him out. But between leaving him here to slowly pass away or just ending the suffering quickly, I believe Geralt would choose to end the suffering. I do head back to the NCR and look to speak to Colonel Moore. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Would Geralt side with the NCR? Would he not go for an independent Vegas? I think the only thing that Geralt would hate more than having to side with one of these factions is having to run all of it himself. So yes, for this playthrough, I will be siding with the NCR. But in every opportunity that I do have, I will be sparing people. I will not be going through with wiping out different factions. The way I look at it is similar to The Witcher 2. Geralt does go with full test for a while, and acts like a bodyguard with the king. That's how I'm viewing the NCR quests. It's me just acting like a bodyguard to make sure the Mojave is in the best possible hands. Which I do believe in terms of, well, the best possible scenario for most people, the NCR is probably the best. But with that, we've already spoken to everyone at the Bird of Steel, and we're going to go through with their main questline. The first thing we've got to do is go speak to the Brotherhood Scouts. In terms of siding with McNamara and Harden, I do think McNamara makes more sense, as he's not an evil man. He's not a man that wants war or wants to attack anyone. He just wants peace for his people and to be able to travel around safely. So we're going to be looking to build up the confidence of the Brotherhood again. This does, however, result in just unbelievably long quests. But it does send us over to some vaults. Some vaults that need clearing out. If there's one thing that gets Geralt all warm and fuzzy and feeling comfortable, it's taking out some monsters' nests. The first one to take out is Vault 22. Spore carriers and different types of plants is perfect for the Igni sign. And we're able to pick up the air filters for the Brotherhood. This quest involves us going to different vaults and picking up parts so they can help repair their own facility. We arrive at Vault 3, where we are met with many bandits. Again though, Geralt is not here to judge anyone, and the bandits within the vault do not attack me. So, using the axis sign, I'm able to convince the bandits to let me through without any fighting. We're able to reach their leader, Motor Runner. Motor Runner does not seem like a very nice guy, and he doesn't seem very cash money. But again, we can use the axis sign, and speech our way through any sort of fights. But we're not here to start messing with anyone's brain, we're here to pick up the reverse pulse charger. We're then able to make our way over to Vault 11. Vault 11 is a little bit different, it's filled with bugs and ghouls, and a lot nicer to walk around in Vault 3. Again, Geralt feels more comfortable in the presence of monsters than he is with bandits. We're able to pick up the pressure controller and start making our way back to the Brotherhood of Steel. Now for you that was about 2 to 3 minutes, but for me that felt like a goddamn lifetime. Now with that, we're able to give McNamara all the good news. He now believes that the NCR are not as big of a threat as they thought before. Now isn't that just the damn best thing you ever saw? Geralt the Peacemaker, bringing these factions together. But there's not too much time to pat myself on the back, as we've got to go help protect the President. I mean the King. I mean the Caesar. Who am I protecting? Now obviously being a melee build, I picked the most perfect range position to go. If anyone even tries to attack the President, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him with my fist from here. Wouldn't you know, how lucky am I? The sniper walked straight towards me. I warned King Kimbo about the assassination attempt, and give Colonel Moore the good news. Now it is at this point that I can head over to the final battle of Hoover Dam. But there's still one thing left to do. There's still a few monsters that need to get taken out. And as Geralt's passing his notice board, he sees a few contracts for some marked men, some huge Deathclaws, and even some monsters that he hasn't seen before. And some strange man that seems to be calling out to Geralt. Well, there's no time like the present, so Geralt gets the gear that he needs and heads over to the canyon wreckage. Now I've already been here a little bit before to pick up some flashbangs, and it will be nice to get some more again because we ran out a long time ago in terms of flashbangs. And we start speaking with Ulysses. Now Ulysses has it in his head that we have somehow caused all this. He's wrong. Geralt doesn't do stuff like that. If someone put something in our backpack or hung some sort of detonator onto Roach when we were travelling around, then we were definitely not aware of it. But despite all that, the result is this horribly broken, destroyed town. And although we've got to travel through the divide to take out all the different contracts we've got for monsters, it would be nice to be able to speak to the man at the end of this robot. Just to learn and just to figure out what exactly has been going on. But we do get to run into our first marked man. And these are just bandit leaders, so not really worth taking the trophies for them. And we can push on through the collapsed tunnel. It's in here that, well, apart from learning more about Edie, we get to encounter a new type of monster. The Tunnelers. Oh, joy. The Tunnelers can be described in a couple different words. The closest thing I can explain them as is, you know the Crave Crickets from Fallout 4? They're like them. They're small, they're jumpy, and they're annoying. And they're pretty damn strong as well. I know some people will be saying that they're the Trogs from Fallout 3, and that's true, they are just reskinned versions of them. But the Trogs in Fallout 3 are very easy to take out, and very fun to take out, and doesn't really cause you much of a headache. Tunnelers can really cause a lot of problems. But with our silver sword we're able to wipe out all of them with the knockdown feature and make our way onto the bridge. We encountered our next named marked man. His name is Mr. Beast. Hey man, I'm a big fan, can I try some of that chocolate? He must have ran out of chocolate. Going into the small collapsed caravan though, I am ambushed by another Deathclaw. I start utilising the flashbangs more as I haven't had much of a chance in this playthrough to use them. And with this level and these stats, using the block feature and swinging my sword as quick as I can pretty much take out any Deathclaw just as long as I take my time. To be honest, 2 or 3 at once is not too bad. Bigger crowds like Quarry Junction and the Sanctuary and Deadwind Cavern, that's a bit of a different story, but 1-on-1, 2-on-1, at this level Geralt is more than capable. He's starting to feel a lot more like Book Geralt or Witcher 3 Geralt. And any fans of The Witcher will know, in those genres, Geralt is death incarnate. Nothing even comes close. Except that satchel charge, that came pretty damn close, but I won't be making that mistake again. Yeah, Right, this time I use my Witcher senses not to get blown up again. And meet our third masked man. This one is called Bonesaw, and no, I won't be making the Spider-Man reference. I'll just be making a Macho Man reference. Look at that rocket. Ooh, yeah. Now, Geralt doesn't know what a nuclear bomb is, so he is not at fault for that. No one can blame him. He had no idea what that was. And he buries all that trauma and all that hardship and all that death with wiping out more tunnelers on this random conveyor belt. Again, it's like a warm, fuzzy blanket. With that, we enter the silo. We're getting deeper and deeper into the divide. And coming up, I think we're getting closer and closer to another one of our contracts. Amongst all the collapsed buildings, we've run into more tunnelers, but we're looking for one specific one. Now, about 10 minutes ago, we didn't even know what tunnelers were, but we are looking for their queen. Yet Geralt gathers this information very quick. He's got good senses for this kind of stuff. He sees monsters and his first thought is, right, gonna go kill their mum. That's it, right, where's the mum? Gonna get the mum. What is it? You're a bad guy? Right, show me your mum. We battle our way through a lot more marked men that are getting a little bit more difficult as their ranged weapons are getting pretty strong at this point. We do have to use this laser detonator to blow up some of these nuclear warheads. Again, an argument that could fail the run, I understand. 2 potential run fails, but it is what it is. We're going to make our way to the ending anyway. God, how anticlimactic would it be if I pulled out the laser detonator and went, nope, can't do it anymore, turn the game off. And after battling through this last tunneler, we finally come face to face with Seymour. Wait, what? We're not here to fight Seymour. There she is. Wow, she looks so unique. The Tunneler Queen. Wow, I really like the new skin they gave her. I get it. They probably can't do it for every single differently named character. A differently named monster. But they couldn't have made the Tunneler Queen just a little bit bigger? Just slightly? The difference that she has is she whallops a huge amount of damage with every hit. But if you were fighting a crowd of tunnelers, would you even be able to tell that there was a different one in there? Again, just slightly bigger, just the size of a large dog, you know? Maybe make the spikes a different colour other than white. Maybe make the queen a completely different colour. I don't know. Give it an abdomen, I don't know. The ant queen had a huge ass. Tunneler Queen doesn't even get different fingernails. With a combination of the Axis sign and my silver sword, we're able to take out the remaining tunnelers. With the Tunneler Queen defeated, we're able to gather our next trophy. With the Tunneler Queen, we get one more step closer to 20 trophies, hitting number 19. Not a particularly difficult one, however I am very curious about what strange meat is. I'm pretty sure that was my nickname at university. At least that's what all the girls used to say. Strange meat. I wonder what they were talking about. Anyway, oversharing aside, Edie decides to betray me. And we're going to make our way through the last little bit of the divide. We decide to eat our strange meat and begin our fight with our final monster. Well, the final monster in the divide. We are coming up against Roar. And not like Roar XD. Not like Roar Ooh. Nah, like Roar. This is the strongest enemy in the game. At least out of all the Deathclaws, it has the hardest punch. And my plan is very simple. Set it on fire and get it to cower. That's the big thing with Roar. If you're able to set him on fire, you're able to take him out a lot easier. So I also decided to try and use the knockdown feature more, but going one-on-one with Roar is not a smart choice. So I decided now is a better time than any to use my last holy frag grenade. With his leg crippled, it's just a matter of time before I can take him out, and his fate is already sealed. Come here, Roar, it's time to... Right, well, we'll try that again. I try and hop, skip and jump myself onto this little rock. I want to try and find a spot where he can't get me. But I don't think that's possible. I think no matter where I go, Roar's always going to be able to get me. And even though that was a great frag grenade, nearly took out all his health, he's still able to close the distance and take me out. This time the frag grenade does nothing. But luck is on my side. The Eternal Flame looks down at me and smiles. And with a lucky knockdown, I'm able to finish off Roar. You guys didn't see all the attempts, but that took a lot more than just 2 or 3. And being the strongest enemy in the game, it's very fitting that Roar gets to be my 20th trophy of this playthrough. I'll put his head right next to the legendary Deathclaw with Stripe on the other side, just to really show the disparity in size. There is a sense of real achievement here. That is every huge abomination monster in the game taken out. However, there is one last thing in this game that is called a monster. A monster of the East. So before we can turn this game off, we've got one last person to take out. But before any of that nonsense, we're going to go speak to Ulysses. Now, Ulysses is a complicated guy. He is completely insane. A good British expression to use is throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Biting your nose to spite your face. One itty bitty small mistake happens, an entire thriving community got destroyed with a nuke, and he decides to blow up the rest of the world. But we're able to talk him off the edge with our Axis sign, and for the final part we're able to join forces against the marked men. Up until this point, Ulysses hasn't really done particularly much to us, except shock us with a robot. I mean, we came here by ourselves. He never told us to come and find him, we followed him here. And despite his past with the Legion, he got away from that. Now when it comes to a launch sequence, there's only one true way that Geralt would pick this decision. He's going to decide to blow up both the NCR and Siege. No, I'm only kidding. He's obviously going to try and stop the launch. There's no way that Geralt would ever condone or try and help with a mass attack like that on both different factions. Despite what the Legion's been doing, the people that live in those areas aren't necessarily the Legion. So even though we're going to see poor Edie sacrifice himself, at the end of the day it is a robot, and Geralt would not allow so many different humans just to be wiped out. Especially for, like we said earlier, kind of petty, silly reasons from Ulysses. Like, something bad happened to me, so I'm going to destroy everyone? Are you okay, Ulysses? Well, I hope he's learned his lesson, and we have finished the divide. The fires of Armageddon pop up on our screen, and, well, the Birds of Steel and the Falls of the Apocalypse like us a bit more. And again, like every other DLC character, Ulysses thanks us by leaving us his, clothes. We return to Ulysses to speak to him about the Beast of the East, the monster of the Legion, and how we can defeat him, as he will be our final test for this playthrough. He lets us know that our words can be very powerful, so we formulate our plan. We know that Axia is going to be a very useful sign. We ensure that our blades are sharpened, our armour is fully conditioned, and we start making our way towards the dam. We speak with General Lee Oliver, and he lets us know about all the shenanigans that are about to go down on this whole dam. But before I can even offer a game of Gwent with him, we're being attacked by the Legion. The Legion have been very sneaky and got themselves in here through the pipes. And something I don't see very often, it's nice seeing the Brotherhood of Steel in here helping out, you know? I really do believe, despite what would ever happen in this game, the Brotherhood would help stop the Legion. Even though the Legion's a bit anti-technology, I mean, they really wrote the Legion bad. There's nothing redeemable about them, is there? I'm trying to think of something. Ulysses, Joshua Graham are like the only redeemable characters. And even then, Joshua is a bit of a dick. After battling our way for the power plants, we get ourselves topside onto the dam. I decide to use the last of my bombs. I mean, if you've got them, you might as well use them. And these incendiary grenades are... they're not great. I mean, I don't think I'll ever use them again. If I ever do like a pyro run through, maybe I'll pick them up one more time, but I never ever really saw them damaging any Legion I was fighting. Taking out the remaining Centurions on the bridge isn't much of a problem. If anything, I just want to do it in a bit of style. We arrive at the Legate's Gate and start making our way through the Legate's camp. We watch as the monster of the East wipes out 2 NCR Rangers. I know I probably should have helped, but you know, I wanted to give them a chance to be the hero, you know? Can't always be Geralt. Like Ulysses says, we decide to talk to the Legate. Throughout this conversation, the real goal was to try and get the Legate with as less support as possible. Similar to what we gave Benny, I want a fair one-on-one fight. Now there's obviously some guards that will always come out and attack you, but for the time being I'm able to face the Legate, have power on power, man on man, Witcher on monster. And all in all, yeah, it's not too difficult. Again, the Battle of the Legate can be very hard depending on the character you've been playing, but I'm around level 30, I've put everything into my melee attack. It's not a case of when I'll beat him, it's just a case of how quickly can I wipe out the rest of the Legionary. I mean, even here I'm just trying to use my Erden sign, literally just putting a little bit of variety for some fun. I mean, this poor veteran Legionary, I make a real meal out of him. I throw about 5 frag mines at him. And the way he limps at me, I can just hear it in his voice. He's like, God, just take me out, finish me! Finish me! I pull out the Axis sign as I got huge groups of them attacking me at once, and it does start whittling down a lot of their healths. I think in hindsight I should have tried to put more into different pyro or fire perks. I think sometimes I focused far too much on just the melee. However, it still is able to carry me all the way through this final battle. The most annoying part, as it usually is just all the marksman carbine people up in the clouds firing down on me as I'm trying to have a gentleman fight with the Legate. And by gentleman fight, I mean I trap her under a rock and beat the crap out of him with my sword. But you gotta give the Legate that, he keeps coming, he just keeps coming towards you. I'm able to land a pretty nice hard shot right on the Legate and finish him off with a heavy attack. And see as his head beautifully rolls right into the lake. I decide to enjoy my trophy and walk him around for everyone to see. With that, however, we are able to gather our final trophy of Fallout New Vegas. Trophy 21, 10 plus 9, 21. You stupid. And out of all the trophies we've been able to gather, this one will look the best. The Legate's helmet is a lovely little piece. And to show off just how good my handiwork is, I decided to walk the Legate's head right over to General Oliver. Geralt's not one to gloat, but Geralt also, you know, he can show a bit of pride in his work. The gate blows up, and all the NCR Rangers decide to storm in. Lee Oliver is very proud of all of our work, and this is starting to feel very much like the end of The Witcher 1. If you guys have played that game, Vizima's overrun by monsters, we clear it out, and King Foltest turns up at the end to give us a nice little pat on the back. And with our gold in our pocket and our contracts all finished, we do indeed answer the question. Yes, you can beat Fallout New Vegas as Geralt of Rivia. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed looking over this video again. Now, accompanying this video this week, there will be another Witcher video uploaded on the weekend. It's actually the first video I ever put on the channel. I actually thought I'd lost the file, and I had taken it down when I decided to make Fallout content. But I was going through an old folder and I was able to find the original video. I took that original video, edited a little bit more, added some new voiceover, and I am indeed very excited to bring it back as a bit of an extra. Now when you're watching this, I would have been on holiday all of this week and last week, so I do apologize for not bringing you a brand new video, but I believe this video and the other Witcher video the editing's been pretty high on them. A lot has changed, so I hope they are sufficient in terms of content for you guys. Next week you can expect a brand new challenge, I promise you that. But with that, remember to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Goodbye.